Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make these Kumihimo candy canes. And this is it. So it holds its shape nicely, as you can see. And they're really nice to make for decorations or Christmas, to put on the tree or something. And they'll obviously last forever. And they're nice and sturdy, and they're fairly quick and easy to make. And what I was thinking as well is you could change the materials a bit and say use some smaller materials so you get a smaller cane, and they'd be really cute as some earrings as well. But that's just an idea. So if you want to learn how to make that, then stay tuned. And now these are the things that we're going to need to make our candy cane. Now what we'll need is a round disc, because we need to make a basic 8-strand round Kumihimo braid. And then the cord that I'm going to be using is 1mm satin cord, and I'm using it in a red and a white colour, obviously because we're making a candy cane. And this is just 1mm. You can choose some different cords if you want to, it doesn't have to be this specifically, and even different sizes as well. And then I'm also going to be using some wire, and this is 1mm wire, and it's just regular round wire, and it doesn't really have to be anything special because it's going to be going inside the braid. There's going to be a core that's going to be inside the braid, so we can help shape it into the candy cane shape at the end. And then we'll also just need a bit of glue. And in this case, I just really like using the GS Hypo cement glue, and it's mainly because it has a really fine precision tip to it, so you can really do some precision gluing with this. And it's nice and strong, and it dries clear, so it won't really show up in a final piece. So get all your materials together, and then let's get started. So the first thing we do before we start the braid is we just need to get all the materials ready. And what I've done is I've cut the cord, and obviously we're making a candy cane, so that would mean using white and red colours of cord. And what I've done is I've cut 4 lengths in total, 2 of each colour, so 2 white and 2 red, and each of these are 1 metre long. And then what I'm going to do is bring them together at the end here, because we now want to find roughly the middle, so that's here, because what we want to do is double it over, and then that turns into 8 working cords with the Kumihimo disc. So then what I'm going to do is I just have a piece of spare cord, it can be some cord or some wire, whichever you're most comfortable with, and I just want to tie this around where the middle is. So just a regular overhand knot is all you need, because this is just to kind of hold the cords together and in place while we get started. And then also we can use these ends of the scrap piece of cord to help pull our braid down in the beginning. So that's our cords ready. And also what we want is we want to cut a length of wire ready to begin with as well, so we have it ready to incorporate into the braid. And this is the 1mm wire, and it's about 20 centimeters long. It's a little bit longer than we need, but I'd rather just have a little bit extra, because then you go in and cut off the excess when you're done making the braid, because it can alternate a little bit how long you want it. So about 20 centimeters long, and just try and have it as straight as possible. So now to set our things up on the disc, we want to get a disc out, so it's the round one like I mentioned, and then the excess cord where you tied the knot in the middle of the others, you want to put that down through the centre of your disc like this. And then we just need to distribute our cords. So what I'm going to do is take my two of my red ones, just the 2 that are right next to each other coming up from the same side, put them at the top, and then the 2 white ones, put them up to the side, and I'm just working with my dots here, so I put a cord on each side of the dot, and then opposite side of the white we want to put the other 2 white ones like this, again around the dot, and the opposite side of the red we want to put the other 2 red ones. So that's the setup of our disc, and you have your cords here coming out of the back that can help you pull the braid through as you're working with it. So this is just a setup that you want to do to get that spiral pattern of the 2 colours. You just want the same colour opposite each other on the disc. And then what I'm going to do now, before we incorporate the piece of wire, I'm just going to start off the braid a little bit, because so far there's nothing for the wire to basically stay in place with. So we just need to start off the braid a little bit. And the way I do that is I take my top left, bring it down over everything, stay to the left side of the bottom pair, and then the bottom right and bring it up. And then I turn the disc And then the handy thing about having these excess cords at the back is you can hold on to them. Top left one down, bottom right one up. And this is just the way that I find it natural to do Kumihimo. You can do bottom one up first and then top one down. That's completely up to you. It's not going to change the look of your braid. Not in this one. So just whatever's comfortable for you is what you do. And we just want to do this for a little bit until we kind of build up a little bit of braid in here in the middle. So I've just done a few turns until I build up just a little bit of braid here at the bottom. And then now what we want to do is, because we have a bit of braid, which means we have a bit of hole in the middle basically of that, and that's what we want to get our wire out. And then what we want to do is place that wire right in the center of the braid, because you have a hole in there running through your whole braid with your basic 8-strand braid. We want to place the wire in there because now there's a bit of braid around, so your wire will stay in place. You'll still have to kind of hold on to it and make sure it stays there as you go, but that's just kind of in the beginning until you build even more braid around it. So to show you a bit more up close, as you can see the wire here, I put it in, you want to put it there right in the center of your braid, where there naturally is some space and a hole basically. And then you want to continue with the same braid. So I take my top left one, bring it down, but now we have this core in the middle. So the only difference is it's the exact same thing in the same braid. We just want to make sure every time we cross our cords over, we go around the core wire. So I did that on this side. On the other side, I bring my bottom one up and stay on the outside of the wire. And then turn it like normal. Like that. And continue. Stay on the outside of the wire every time you do a cross with your cords. And then we're continuing to build up that braid now around the core wire. So you just keep doing the exact same thing, always making sure you go on the outside of the wire. And it's right here at the beginning is kind of the trickiest part, because what I'm doing is I'm holding around my braid kind of through the middle behind on my disc, where also the wire is, so kind of trying holding it in place. But it's just right here at the beginning because there's only a bit of braid to hold the wire in place. And if your wire were to fall out of your braid, like if it were to come out, it's not a big deal. You just kind of pop it back in before you move on and continue the braid. So you want to stick it in there. If it falls out, just stick it back in. Make sure you squeeze it nice and down till it won't go any further. And then you just continue your braid. And then eventually, when you build up a bit more braid, it'll hold in itself a lot more securely, because the braid up the sides of your wire, there's enough of it there to hold it in place. So you just continue like this, moving around your disc like a basic 8-strand braid until you then run out of cord, or you reach the end of your wire, whichever comes first, or just till you reach how long you want your piece to be to form your candy cane. So I've now come to the end of my cords and I've reached the length that I want it to be, and then what we have left is a little piece of wire here sticking out. So if you can see that right here, we have a couple of centimeters left of the wire. So we need to get rid of that because we need to finish off this end and we don't want the bare wire sticking out of our braid. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my flush cutters. You can just use some regular wire cutters. And then you want to place them, the wire inside your cutters, but your cutters on top of your braid. So you don't want to accidentally try and make sure you don't cut any of the cord off accidentally. Just the wire, but then place it right on top of the end of your braid like this. And then cut it off. So the end of your wire is now basically flush to the end of your braid. And then now what we need to do is finish off this end and secure it in place so we can actually then use it and shape it into a candy cane. So what I do is I've finished off with my red cords, but that's the last pair that I use is the red ones. So what I want to do is start with my white ones. And I'm just going to release what I'm going to use. So I'm using these two first. And these are the ones that are kind of opposite each other, but on the same side, like that. And then take them across the middle and tie a regular overhand knot, and then tighten that right on top of the end of the braid here, like so. And then take the other two white ones, do the same thing. So the ones that are straight across from each other when you're looking at the braid or the disc, looking at the pair that you're working with. And again, over the middle, tie a regular overhand knot over the middle, like so. So you're now looking from the top here. The two knots that you've made are sat right next to each other. And just make sure they're really nice and tight. Then we're going to move to the red ones and do the same thing. So just leave the white ones where they are. Release your red cord. Ones that are straight opposite each other, if you go down the middle of your disc. Regular overhand knot across the middle, and tighten then that red knot, or the knot with your red cords, straight on top of the knots that you did with your white cords. And then the other red ones, last ones we have left. I can just take it off my disc now. So the two last cords, in my case the red ones, that we haven't used to make a knot yet, over the middle, overhand knot, and then tighten that right on top of the white knots, like so. And then them two knots, the red ones, are sat right next to each other as well. So the same thing we did with the white ones, just with the red ones on top. And that's how I'm going to finish off the end. Obviously we need to then finish off, get rid of the excess cord here as well. And for that, I'm going to get out some glue. And this is where I'm going to use my GS Hypo Cement glue, because it dries clear, so you're not going to be able to see it, it's going to blend in. And it's really strong, so it'll hold your piece and it's got nice durability. But also, the best thing almost about this glue is that it has a really fine tip to it here, nozzle. So you can really do some precision gluing and get right in there if you need to. If you don't have this specific glue, you can just use another glue that you prefer to use. Try and make sure that it dries clear, or something that you're happy with anyway. And then you can just use something like a toothpick to get into the spaces. But then what I'm going to do is take this glue and start gluing a bit around these knots and where the ends of my cords are coming out from the knots. So this is just to secure it in place so we can then end up cutting them off. Now I've put glue all the way around and I've let it dry, and before I cut them off I just want to mention something else you could do instead. If you don't want to use the glue, if you're using a cord, like a synthetic cord, like say the satin cord or some nylon cord of some sort, what you could do instead of glue, you could do the same thing with the knots, and then instead of gluing it, cut down the ends to a couple of millimeters and then get a lighter and cinch it. And then kind of press it in. Obviously be careful with that because it's going to be warm, but that melts the ends and then seals it in place. So you could also do that instead if you prefer that. But I like to use the glue, and either way it's going to work fine. So now that it's dried, I'm going to take my scissor and then just going to go in and cut off the ends. And I'm going to kind of put my scissor around my cords and then kind of pull the cord a bit. So there's a bit of tension there, just so I get as close to the ends where they're coming out as possible, really, to make the end of the braid as nice and neat as possible, like so. And the white ones, same thing, and then the last ones, like so. And then there you have the end finished, and it's pretty nice and neat, as you can see. It's hard to tell really that it's been finished off. And then what I'm going to do is go back to the other end, because we still have this cord from the right beginning attached. All you do with that is untie the knot, simple overhand knot that we did, and then pull it out like this. And then this end is already finished, because we folded our cords over so they were doubled over in the middle. So this end is really nice and neat. We don't have to do anything more to that. And then you have this long Kumihimo braid now with your wire in the middle. So what there's left to do now is shape it. And obviously we just want to shape it into the classic candy cane shape. So you grab one of your ends, whatever you want to be the top or the bottom, and then just start shaping it, giving that nicely rounded curve on top. And because it's the wire inside, you can kind of shape it to whatever you want, and then it'll hold its shape. So just gradually shape it until you're happy. Roughly getting there. Want to give it a little bit more length. Something roughly like this, I think. So just keep shaping it until you're happy with it. And then there you basically have your finished candy cane. And obviously you can make as many as you want. And the brilliant thing is as well, they'll last, so if you want to use them for decorations, they'll last however long you want them to last, forever basically. And if you accidentally bend them out of shape, you can just bend them back into shape because we have the wire inside. But otherwise they'll easily hold their shape themselves. So that's the finished candy cane, Kumihimo braid. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make these wirework Christmas wreath earrings. And this is what they look like. So I've attached these to my earring findings, and it's a nice little perfect size for earrings. But obviously you can use this same technique to make just decorations as well, Christmas decorations. So that's really up to you. But using a few different coloured wires and then turning it into look like a wreath. And then you can use it for either earrings or whatever else you want.